What up, people? Late night dribble, Thursday night. I've got this list here in front of me. This is gonna make for a great discussion. Splash, what up, what up, what up, what up? Johnny, what up, what up? Youngstown, what up? Share this live as y'all come in here. Pee-wee, you've been down like almost 5 years, I believe. I appreciate you all the time. We got a great discussion this evening. He said you a lefty. Nah, I'm ambidextrous. I write with my right hand, but I can hoop with either hand. Lay you up either hand, it don't matter. Newark, Brick City in the building. Share this live stream. Johnny, can you share this, pimp? Share this to your social medias. Twitter works. Facebook works. Muhammad the Conqueror. Share this joint to Facebook for me. Cinematic, what up? He said money on the flow. Got some information on the flow and some misinformation. But we gonna clean it up. Make sure y'all go to my website and get that trifecta. I got great reviews. I'm glad that y'all received that trifecta and made it a part of your lifestyle. Boom, boom. King Hazy. He said Duck Down. Duck Down would more so be considered a label, a record label. Duck Down isn't a rap group. I get what you're trying to say, though. You might be trying to say Boot Camp Click or Black Moon or something like that. Tay, share this video to your Facebook and to your Twitter, please. If y'all follow me on IG, I hope all y'all follow me on IG. This all gonna make sense in just a minute. I put a lot of thought into this. I did some research. And y'all gonna love this. Boom, 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 boom. Daryl Javon, peace and salute. Brother Dribble, I appreciate your super chat, man. You come in here gunning, you playing no games. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna wait for some more of these notifications to go out, and then we gonna let the gun bust. This is gonna be a dandy. I gotta put some clarity on some of these groups. G4 Jurors, I appreciate your super chat. Needed real dialogue, appreciate it. I got y'all. Gentleman's Corner, what up? I got y'all. This is what y'all wanted. You got it. I'm at my best being in these positions, this hip hop shit, especially if it extends over, like generations. They got Grandmaster Flash mentioned in this joint. They got the Beastie Boys that go back to the 80s. This is gonna be a dandy. Doom. Y'all like the video? Get them likes up, man. Peace. Theodore, share this to your Facebook. At this hour, they subject to do anything with the notifications. This is beyond prime time. Rock Nation, I appreciate your super chat. I got they made the list. Naughty by Nature made the list. I'm gonna get to it in just a minute though. Y'all gonna love this. This is much needed dialogue. This is how we keep the we gotta keep the stories accurate. Because, when you pass down a story, if we in a room and it's 30 of us and we whisper, if I turn to next to me and I tell somebody a story and they tell the person next to them a story and they turn and tell a story to the person next to them, by the time it makes its way around the room, the story's gonna be changed. People gonna add misinformation. People are gonna add information based on their personal opinion, their emotions and shit like that. But this right here, I like to believe that most of this shit is like 95% factual. Because I've been here the whole time. Boom, boom, boom. Pee-wee, I appreciate you. We're going to get it started in about another 2 minutes. He said that they finally make the list worth a real conversation. They made it worth a conversation because it's in disarray. It's not adding up. It ain't. So I think what you guys are gonna enjoy the most is the snubs, because they only picked 20, and they probably should have picked a top 50. I believe that might be a little difficult to come up with a good top 50 rap groups of all time. But 20 slots didn't do much justice, and some of these people that's listed in this top 20 from Billboard, they aren't what we would consider a group. So we're gonna put some clarity on exactly what qualifies as a group. We're gonna put down, somebody's texting me, and I just caught it. Well, they not texting me, it was a post from Instagram. Somebody said something about A Tribe Called Quest and the Lox. You can't compare the Lox to Tribe Called Quest. Tribe Called Quest is a bigger deal than the Lox. I'll say it again. A Tribe Called Quest is a bigger deal than the Lox in terms of hip hop. Just so people know, you know, we gotta, he said, I can see that. It's the truth. It's the truth. Tribe Called Quest went on an incredible run from like 1990 until, I don't know, until basically the group probably disbanded, or maybe when Fife passed away. But the Tribe Called Quest, they had an incredible run, and they got huge records. He said award tour is bone chilling. Lox ain't, got nothing like that. Nah. He said, I listened to Tribe Called Quest every day for like 10 years throughout college. It's funny that you mentioned college, because some of these groups listed are in fact college music certified, and A Tribe Called Quest was always college music certified. The snubs, though, I'm gonna read off what Billboard brought to the table as far as their top 20 hip hop groups of all time. Then I'm gonna dissect them. And then I'm gonna mention the subs, and the snubs, and we're gonna go from there. Y'all ready? Number 1 is Outkast. I'm gonna run them all off first, and then I'm gonna break this shit down. Number 1 is Outkast, according to Billboard. 2, Wu-Tang. 3, NWA. Number 4, A Tribe Called Quest. Number 5, Run DMC. 6, Public Enemy. 7, Eric B. and Rakim. 8, Salt and Pepper. 9, De La Soul. Number 10 is The Roots. Number 11 is The Migos. Number 12 is Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. Number 13 is Mobb Deep. Number 14 is The Fugees. Number 15 is Naughty by Nature. Number 16 is The Beastie Boys. Number 17 is Cypress Hill. Number 18 is 3 6 Mafia. Number 19 is G Unit. And number 20 is UGK. This thing between the Lox and Wu-Tang, it keeps coming back around as far as when they get to mention in the greatest groups of all time. And I've had this discussion here before. Me personally, I don't think Outkast can do nothing with the Wu-Tang has too many layers for Outkast. You got Ghostface, that's a layer. You got Raekwon, that's another layer. You got Method Man, that's another layer. And then you get to RZA, Genius, and all of them other guys and shit like that. And not to mention, Wu-Tang spawned a huge family tree of splinter groups, so to speak. You got, Sons of Man, the Grave Diggers, and all of this type of shit, Killer Army, all of this was given birth from the Wu-Tang seed. So Outkast, in my opinion, Wu-Tang is a bigger deal than Outkast to me. Some of this is subjective. There's certain people who they never embraced Wu-Tang. They just didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? I like that nice and smooth. I'm just gonna add that as an honorable mention. But I'm gonna add some footnotes to that. Some of these people who were included on this list are duos. Now, if you want to be technical, I think that a rap group should be multiple people. That's just my personal opinion. Because some of these people are duos. Like they added at number 7, ironically, the God number, Eric B and Rakim. That's a solo. Rakim was known as the soloist. He said it himself. His identity was the soloist. The R, a soloist, solo MC, and he had a DJ. Some people say that Eric B wasn't really a DJ. He was more so a gangster. So if you add people like Eric B and Rakim, then you have to add Gang Starr. You know what I'm saying? You have to add Gang Starr, and you can add, it's other people who was soloists who had a DJ with him, but mainly Eric B and Rakim was a solo MC and a DJ. Gang Starr, another solo MC and a DJ. I'm gonna be more detailed now. The top 5 on this list: Outkast, Wu-Tang, NWA, A Tribe Called Quest, and Run DMC. That's the top 5 according to Billboard. Me personally, I don't have no problem with that top 5. That 5 that I just mentioned, all of them is good money. It's about what it is that you like, and you can put them in any order that you want. I believe that Run DMC is emphatically one of the greatest hip hop groups of all time. They were a duo also, but they had a third member, which was Jam Master Jay. There's so many people who got snubbed from this list. They left Houdini out. Houdini. Now I'm gonna mention Houdini briefly, and then I'm going to the snubs. I'm gonna go back to the list, and I'm being spontaneous because more groups are coming to mind. Houdini was a duo, and they had Grandmaster D, who was the third member. He was a DJ, but Grandmaster D also rapped. He did. He rapped on a song called, I think it was Funky Beat. Again, that top 5: Outkast, Wu-Tang, NWA, Tribe Called Quest, and Run DMC. I don't have no problem with that. The way that they put those 5 groups at the top of this list. I just would put Wu-Tang over Outkast. I would also put NWA over Outkast. I would. And now that I think about it, I would have to put Run DMC over Outkast. I don't know what's people's big thing with Outkast. And I love the group. I love the music. I do. I love Outkast music. Their debut album was fire. Southern Playalistic, fire. And they went on to Aquemini and a bunch of other shit. They did their thing. But I grew up in the era of Crush Groove, Tougher Than Leather, the Run DMC endorsed Adidas sneaker. I lived through that shit. When I was a kid, nobody was bigger than Run DMC. Until Public Enemy showed up, you couldn't find a group that qualified as even being equal to Run DMC. Run DMC was almost in a class by themselves for a long, long time. A long time. And nobody would dispute this. They did the Rock This Way joint with, I think it was Aerosmith. They dominated on MTV. Before rap groups was even getting on MTV, Run DMC was on MTV. All right. Now I'm going to tell you the things that I have a problem with this list. I have nothing against the Beastie Boys. I just told you that I grew up, I lived through the Run DMC era, so that means I was there for the Beastie Boys shit, right? I have no beef, no issues, nothing negative to say about the Beastie Boys, but the songs that appealed to black people, the Cool Table from the Beastie Boys, they probably had 3. That would be Paul Revere, Brass Monkey, and pick one. Pick one. You could pick one. You know what I'm saying? So the Beastie Boys I would remove from the top 20 hip hop groups. They sold a lot of records. They was the first white guys that we embraced. But if we're gonna add some dynamic white rap groups, I would put Third Base over the Beastie Boys. Yeah, somebody just mentioned it. I will put Third Base over the Beastie Boys. So I'm gonna cross the Beastie Boys out at number 16, right? I said Eric B. and Rakim. Rakim was a solo MC with a DJ. He was at number 7. I ain't gonna move him. I'm gonna go to number 8, Salt and Pepper. Salt and Pepper was popping. They're a female rap group. They're the only females listed on this whole list. Lauryn Hill is a part of the Fugees, but they're the only female rap group that's listed on this list. They were a trio, Salt and Pepper and Spinderella, 2 rappers and a DJ. Do they deserve recognition? Yes. Were they? Should they be in the top 20 all time? I can't put Salt and Pepper over these snub groups. Now let me give you the list of who is snubbed, and you're gonna see the crime right here. This is my list of snubs. Digital Underground got snubbed. They not even mentioned. Digital Underground brought Tupac Shakur to the table. When I was a shorty, Digital Underground had hits. And I'm not talking about the Humpty Dance. I'm talking about Freaks of the Industry. I'm talking about Kiss Me and I Kiss You Back. These was big fucking records. Do What You Like. They had this funk. They was funky, yo. I fucked with them. And they got busy on All in the Same Gang. So, yeah, Digital Underground was snubbed. Totally disrespected. And they brought Tupac to the table. All Around the World, same song. See, people, Sex Package, that was a classic debut album. So they brought Tupac to the table. So Digital Underground was snubbed. I'm gonna go further. The Harlem Diplomats was snubbed. The Harlem Diplomats were snubbed. They weren't mentioned in the top 20. There's no way possible that 3 6 Mafia deserved a slot over the Dipset. They didn't. I don't care if they won a Grammy or whatever the fuck it was that 3 6 Mafia did. They do not deserve a slot over the Dipset. They just don't. In addition to Dipset being a group, each of their members had solo success, and they spawned a tree of artists. 40 Cal, J.R. Ryder, Hell Rail, Uncasa, Purple City, Shice Bub, Tom Gist, A Mafia, Vado. I could go on and on and on. All of these guys, Sin City, was they all sprung from the Diplomat tree. Diplomats shouldn't have been, they should not have been snubbed. They put UGK at number 20, right? There's no way in Sam hell UGK belongs on this list over the Ghetto Boys. Big snub. One of the biggest snubs on this list was leaving the Ghetto Boys out of the top 20. That is totally criminal. That's totally criminal. I'm telling you. If this is how you know this is all fucked up, right? You cannot leave the Ghetto Boys out of the top 20 when Scarface as a solo artist will make people's top 5. He will be mentioned in the top 5 or the top 10 and shit like that. So the Ghetto Boys, nobody's bigger in Texas than the Ghetto Boys. They put UGK on this list at number 20. The Ghetto Boys would have been probably in the top 10 in my opinion. There's no way possible that they supposed to leave the Ghetto Boys out. They had albums, they had mega albums, man. I'm talking about year after year after year until, put it this way, right? Before we started listening to groups like Wu-Tang, Biggie, basically anybody that you want to name from the 90s, before the East Coast started to move in position in the early 90s, the years before that, we listened to the Ghetto Boys, we listened to Scarface, Minute to Pray, Second to Die, Dying with Your Boots On, Money in the Power, Gotta Let Your Nuts Hang, fuck, Mind of a Lunatic. I could just go on and on and on. It's so much. The Ghetto Boys, they catalog is like 30 feet tall. 30 feet tall. I'm talking about, we was listening to the guys that you like from, like if you went and asked Raekwon or Ghostface, yo, what was y'all listening to? What was y'all listening to in 89, 90, 91? They gonna say the Ghetto Boys. Everybody was listening to the Ghetto Boys. A Mind Playing Tricks on Me, just Ever So Clear by Bushwick, and then you got all of Scarface's solo shit. So yeah, UGK don't get a look over the Ghetto Boys. Cypress Hill don't get a look over the Ghetto Boys. So that was a big snub, a huge snub and disrespect. They even put the Migos on this list at number 11 and didn't mention the Ghetto Boys. The Lox got totally snubbed. Total disrespect. The Lox will be in most people's top 10 rap groups of all time. Probably the Lox. They probably would be in the top 10. Total disrespect. Each individual MC had respectable solo careers. The music is dope. You see what the fuck they did to the Dipset in Madison Square Garden. They still relevant today. Most of this list, they not relevant today. But the Lox is relevant to this day. Like this list is composed of a lot of groups that ain't really popping or relevant today. But the Lox relevant to this day. They were totally snubbed. That was disrespect. I'm gonna continue with the snubs. Bone Thugs and Harmony, huge group brought to the table by the late Eazy-E. Big records. One of my favorite joints was For the Love of Money. You got the First of the Month, Crossroads. They got records, y'all. They got records. They was never one of my huge favorites. I was never huge on Bone Thugs and Harmony. But when they came out, they was totally official. They was very relevant. They had a huge fan base. That fast rapping shit that they was doing, some people was doing it before them. Twista said he was doing it before them. I believe that's the truth. But Bone Thugs brought some shit to the table, and they just too much, and they definitely qualify as a group because there was multiple MCs in the group. A lot of these people on this list, they weren't groups. They were like duos or solo MCs with a DJ. All right, so Bone Thugs, the Snubs, Ghetto Boys, the Lox, Dipset, Digital Underground, Bone Thugs and Harmony. One of the groups that got totally disrespected as far as being not included at all, totally snubbed, that I seen in everybody's comments on my Instagram page. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at @gullytv_, right? One of the groups that everybody was totally fucked up about not being mentioned was EPMD. I can say so much about EPMD. That was a big one. That was a very big one. I could name a whole lot of people that was in this top 20 the EPMD was better than and more relevant than. Like, for instance, you got Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. Respect it. Respect to Melly Mel. Respect to Grandmaster Flash. Respect to Cowboy. Respect it to everything that they did. But they have a mega song called The Message They highly revered. They also have white lines. But you probably can't name 5 Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 mega hits. You can name probably 10 EPMD hits on their solo albums or on their first 2-3 runs. Like they first 3 joints was flawless, classic. They was one of the biggest groups in the 80s. They was throwing that shit on. Please listen to my demo. So what you saying? Who's booty? Jane, get the Bozak. You got to chill. It's just this big. EPMD this big. Headbanger, Rampage. They catalog this big. And right, I'm gonna put this in quotes. EPMD spawned a supergroup called the Def Squad. And that would include Eric Sermon, Keith Murray, Redman, and Molly G. That's a qualified rap group right there, the Def Squad. But they would, let's just say they was given birth by Eric Sermon from EPMD. All right, so EPMD got snubbed, the Ghetto Boys got snubbed, Bone Thugs, The Lox, Dipset, and Digital Underground. Brand Nubian got snubbed. That was criminal. You can't put groups like the Migos in this top 20 over Brand Nubian. You can't. You can't put 3 6 Mafia over Brand Nubian. You can't. They got 3 certified MCs. Yes, Lord Jamar did some monkey shit. He's Lord Jamar. He's 1/3 of Brand Nubian. Yes, they was bringing that shit when Grand Poobah left them niggas. They still was bringing that shit when it was just him and Sadat X. Punks jump up to get beat down. Their debut album, classic. I believe Brand Nubian's debut album probably got 4. It might have had 5 mics in the source. Brand Nubian shouldn't have been snubbed. No way in hell. Like, you can't put the Migos in there over Brand Nubian. You can't put Salt and Pepper in there over Brand Nubian. You can't. You can't put Cypress Hill in there over Brand Nubian. I believe Cypress Hill was included, and I respect Cypress Hill and everything that they brought to the table. I believe Cypress Hill was included to appease people from all regions. One thing about this this top 20, I noticed that they put people in there from all regions. You got 3 6 Mafia, they from Memphis, UGK from Texas, the Migos from Atlanta, Outkast is from Atlanta. You got people from all over the map. Naughty by Nature is from New Jersey. I'm moving right along with the snubs. I personally feel that Lords of the Underground makes this list. I do. I feel that Lords of the Underground makes this list. Even though they only experienced most of their success in the early 90s, I just feel that they were big enough to be included in the top 20. Lords of the Underground, I do. They got snubbed. They weren't mentioned. The Hot Boys. You can't make a top 20 rap groups of all time without including the Hot Boys. That was one of the bigger snubs. That, not including the Hot Boys, that just didn't make any sense to me. It didn't. Again, you got Salt and Pepper in there. I feel that the Hot Boys ended up being bigger than Salt and Pepper. I feel that the Hot Boys ended up being bigger than Cypress Hill. I feel the Hot Boys ended up being bigger than 3 6 Mafia. I feel the Hot Boys ended up being bigger than UGK. And I feel the Hot Boys ended up being bigger than G Unit. G Unit made this top 20 list. I don't know if I would put G Unit in my top 20 rap groups of all time. Them niggas didn't do enough to be in the top 20 of all time. I don't know why somebody did that. They didn't do enough. G-Unit did not do enough to be included in the top 20 rap groups of all time. He said, yeah, they only got 1 album, I think. No, G Unit should not be in. G Unit should not be in the top 20 rap groups of all time. I just named several groups that was bigger than them. Digital Underground was bigger than them. The Ghetto Boys was bigger than them. EPMD was bigger than them. Bone Thugs and Harmony was bigger than them. They don't belong on this list. Brand Nubian was bigger than fucking G Unit too. So yeah, Brand Nubian got snubbed. The Hot Boys got snubbed. I feel when it comes to being a group, the Goody Mob got snubbed. I think the Goody Mob probably can make a top 20 list. Mainly because they are emphatically a group. They got several MCs. They got several MCs in their Cujo. I believe it was probably like 5 of them niggas. But they are a group, and they put the Roots in here, right? The Roots is a rap group, and they will be considered a rap group because they have a band. The lead MC was Black Thought. At a point in time, I think the Roots can qualify as being a duo, but Malik B, he wasn't around all the time, and Dice Raw was a part of the Roots also. So it's almost like the Roots featuring Dice Raw. I don't know if he was a full-time member or he was just an affiliate, but the Roots had multiple MCs at a point in time. Malik B, I believe he went through some substance abuse shit, so he wasn't around. But most people would look at the Roots and say it's Black Thought in the band. The Goody Mob, I feel that the Goody Mob was probably snubbed from this list. I do. And in totality, it was a lot of snubs. I have some honorable mention groups. 3 Times Dope. They only had 1 MC. But they were considered a group. Nice and Smooth. Duo. Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Kind of like a duo, or you could say, nah, I think Pete Rock rapped at a point in time. I think he was rapping at times. Out of these people that was mentioned by Billboard, I feel that they probably should have went into a little bit more detail as far as who qualified for to be a group. I can't tell you, I can't stress enough that some of these people, like, I don't believe Mobb Deep ever had a DJ. And I feel that Mobb Deep is emphatically a duo, right? Mobb Deep made number 13, but in most people's top 5, 6 hip-hop groups, Mobb Deep is going to be in the first. They're going to be in there 1 through 6, especially on the East Coast. It might be a regional thing, but Mobb Deep, the Migos before Mobb Deep, that don't make any sense. The Roots before Mobb Deep, that don't make any sense. Salt and Pepper before Mobb Deep, that don't make any sense. Even Eric B. and Rakim before Mobb Deep, that just don't sit right with me. I'm just keeping it real, shit. So he said, where the Ghetto Boys ranked? They weren't even mentioned. They were snubbed. But that's one of the groups that I added on my list who I felt was unjustly snubbed, and it made no sense at all. When you include groups like NWA, when you include groups like Public Enemy, when you include groups like Run DMC, you have to include the Ghetto Boys. Daryl Javon, I appreciate your super chat. He said the Hieroglyphics and the Alcoholics. 8 Ball and MJG, another duo, but they were snubbed. it seems like they made this list based on, maybe record sales or pop recognition. They got the Fugees at number 14, right? I believe the Fugees are recognized for one album, their debut album. I don't know what they did beyond that debut album. And this whole thing about Lauryn Hill being this like dynamic MC, she got off. She got off. She got off on a debut album. She got off on Fuji Live. She got off on Ready or Not. Lauryn Hill's debut solo album, there was a lot of singing on there. So when people like put Lauryn Hill and they like put her on this pedestal, it shouldn't be for a solo album. There was a lot of fucking singing on there. It should. Onyx was another group that was snubbed. It made no sense to me. It didn't. It was three of them at times. Fredro, Sticky Fingers, and Sonny Caesar. I feel that Onyx they definitely did enough to be in the top 20 hip hop groups of all time. The Migos should not be in the top 20. I'm sorry. I think the Migos was included because of some type of, I don't know, maybe new school popularity or something like that. The Migos shouldn't be. the Migos. The Migos should not be number 11. The Migos is before Mobb Deep. The Migos is before Naughty by Nature. They shouldn't be before Naughty by Nature. Naughty by Nature had a great run in the 90s. You can't put the Migos before the niggas that made hip hop hooray. You can't put the Migos in front of the niggas that made OPP. You just can't. You can't. It's impossible. It don't make any sense. Again, A-Ball and MJG, a regional group that I really, really like, based on their contributions. You gotta know their body of work. You gotta know their body of work. They were snubbed. They weren't mentioned at all. So they would go on my snub list. They first 2-3 albums, fire. Especially I believe it was Space Age Pimpin'. That's just, and then the debut joint that had Armed Robbery and Pimps and all of that shit on there. I can't remember what the name of it was. Coming out hard. Classic album. The Migos shouldn't be in there. Let's just put this in terms of Southern rap. The Migos don't come before 8-Ball and MJG. They don't. The Migos don't come before the Ghetto Boys. They don't. They really don't. So he said Griselda didn't make the list. Hell no, man. Is you crazy? Hell no. Nah, man. This is the top 20 hip hop groups of all time. There were people that were snubbed. Like, you can't put Griselda on the list and not put Digital Underground. Digital Underground are legends. They is. And they had global appeal. Like, people, they had Humpty Hump. That was totally dope, and it was brand new. When Shock G was the first rapper to come out with the alter ego, I believe, and shit. You know what I'm saying? Ultramagnetic MCs, they weren't included. Stetsasonic weren't included. These are all people who can be considered snubs, but you got to be familiar with their body of work. Gang Starr, I wanted to put them last. Gang Starr is a solo MC with a DJ. As far as them being a group, Gang Starr has always been considered a group. But if you want to be technical, it's a solo MC and a DJ. Premier never rapped. He scratch, he arranged, he produces. That's it. I never heard Premier do vocals. Never. And same goes for Eric B. and Rakim. I never heard Eric B. do any vocals and shit. So it's just Eric B. and Rakim Rakim, his name was the soloist. You know what I mean? So no. People are speaking about Boogie Down Productions. Boogie Down Productions. If you want to count Miss Melody, if you want to count D Nice, I don't think D Nice was too much rapping in Boogie Down Productions. I don't think D Nice started to rap until he went solo. Boogie Down Productions was KRS-One. It was. So, yeah, nobody included BDP. They didn't. The Juice Crew was a collective. If you want to be technical, yeah, the Juice Crew was a collective. I don't think the Juice Crew qualifies as a rap group. I don't. Daryl Javon, he said organized confusion. Group should be 2-person or 3. I think group should be 3. I think it should be performers. When you say group, I feel that they should be performers. Like Run DMC is a rap group. You got 2 lyricists and a DJ. That's 3. Salt and Pepper is a rap group. You got 2 lyricists and a DJ. That's 3 people and shit. A group should consist of performers, actual performers, in my opinion. He said no Far Side. I put the Far Side on my list of people who got snubbed. Regional group, very dope, did a lot. They got snubbed. UGK is number 20 on the top 20 hip-hop groups of all time. I don't think UGK belong on there. In the top 20, I don't think UGK would make my top 20, my personal top 20, because I just named like 6 people who got snubbed. That would bump UGK and G-Unit off this list. I'm going to run the snubs by y'all again. Digital Underground, Dipset, The Lox, Ghetto Boys, Bone Thugs and Harmony, EPMD, Lords of the Underground, Brand Nubian, and the Goody Mob. That's like almost 10 groups right there. That would knock UGK off of here. That would knock 3 6 Mafia off of here. That would knock G-Unit off of here. That would knock the Migos off of here. And it would knock Salt and Pepper off of here. I'm just keeping it real. Salt and Pepper was a big, big deal. They do. You know what? Salt and Pepper probably, if you want to add some equality to the list and put some females on there, Salt and Pepper could be included. But the snubs is what made this this list very, very criminal. The snubs. And this is simply another instance of these white publications trying to dictate who's who in hip hop. They can't do it. They can't do it. They can't do it without including us. And a lot of times the people who they be having making these selections are people who came out of school. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are writers who just came from fucking college. These people don't know about no goddamn. They don't know. They don't know hip hop. And to know hip hop, you would have to live it. You would have to live it. And if you're gonna make a fucking coalition or a collective of people, a panel who are gonna choose who's the top, I believe that they should be probably like close to 50 years old. Hip hop just turned 50 years old. I believe it was last year. So the person who selects these things should be close to 50 years old and shit. They should be someone who really experienced it. 2 Live Crew is a big deal. I mentioned Houdini. Houdini was huge group. Shouldn't have been snubbed. I would put Houdini in here I would put Houdini in here over the Migos. I would put Houdini in here over 3 6 Mafia. I would put Houdini in here over G-Unit. I would put, yes, Houdini is bigger than G-Unit. They is. In terms of being a rap group, Houdini over G-Unit, yes. 100%. Somebody mentioned the Fat Boys, the Disco 3. That's a great that's a great addition. That's a great addition. That's a great addition. They probably would make the top 50. I don't know about them being in the top 20. I lived through their music. They had dope music. They did. By the time they got to television, they was presented to be like some type of, fuckboy novelty shit, doing funny comedy movies and shit like that. But nah, they had songs, man. They did. Fat Boys Are Back, Can You Feel It, All You Can Eat, In Jail. If you don't believe me, you have to watch the movie Crush Groove if you want to get down with exactly who the Fat Boys was and what they brought to the table. Reference Crush Groove. Yeah. What you think about E40 Group, The Click? That's a good question. You only got 20 slots. They picked the top 20. The Click can go in the top 50. He said Gully is sleeping on that 50 G unit area. That shit wasn't enough. I'm not sleeping on that shit. Them niggas wasn't bigger than the Diplomats. They wasn't. G Unit was not bigger than fucking Brand Nubian. They wasn't bigger than Digital Underground. They weren't bigger than fucking the Locks. They weren't bigger than the Ghetto Boys. They weren't bigger than EPMD. I just ran off. They weren't bigger than fucking. No. He said G Unit was up there. Up where? We got some very, very powerful honorable mentions. Camp Low, Diggable Planets. That's a good one. Good one. Dog Pound, another good one. He said you're showing favoritism. No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I just told you the Digital Underground got snubbed. Them niggas is from Oakland. I said the Ghetto Boys. Them niggas is from Houston, Texas. What the fuck are you talking about? Bone Thugs and Harmony. Them niggas is from Cleveland, Ohio. How the fuck am I showing bias? I'm telling the goddamn truth. Diggable Planets. Fire. This nigga talking about I'm being biased, and at the top of the snubs list was Digital Underground and the Ghetto Boys. How the fuck am I being biased? We need to kick some of these niggas out this top 20. The Fugees, man, they sold a lot of records. Don't the Fugees only got one solo album? I mean, the Fugees got one album together as a group, right? Did the Fugees have an additional album? Didn't after their debut album they started to do solo shit? Tell me what the Fugees have. They have two. What was on the second one? What was on the second one? Somebody help me out. What songs came from the Fugees' second album? Ghetto Superstar? Ghetto Superstar. What was they? Fuji Law was in 96. Can anybody tell me what was on the Fugees' second album? The Score. So the one that was popular was the second album. It was one that preceded that. Do or Die and Above the Law. Those are great additions to a top 50. Killing Me Softly, I believe that was on Lauryn Hill's solo. Only one Fuji album mattered, The Score. So for them to be in this top 20 rap groups of all time over Digital Underground, that don't make sense. The Fugees need to come up off this list. I don't think as a group that the Fugees was more pop. I don't know. I can't say that. I would take A-Ball and MJG over the Fugees, personally. I would. I would take the Locks over the Fugees. Ghetto Boys over the Fugees. EPMD over the Fugees. I would. Brand Nubian over the Fugees. I would take Brand Nubian over the Fugees. They put Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 in the top 12. They deserve their roses. It's probably very hard to push them niggas because of what they did. It's probably hard to push them out of the top 20, but some of this is emphatically subjective. you know, for real. Did West Side Connection make the top 20? No, but NWA is number 3. Yeah. The Fugees, we got the vocab. That was that shit. I mentioned Lords of the Underground. I said that they got snubbed. I do. I would take Lords of the Underground over the Fugees. I'm serious. I know they didn't sell as many as records as the Fugees. I get it. But I don't know if the Fugees, I don't know if they could fuck with Here Comes the Lords. Here Comes the Lords and Chief Rocker and all of that. I don't know. I listen to that shit like a motherfucker going to school. I don't know. Y'all got the Fugees over the Lords of the Underground? I don't. I don't. I don't. I don't. I don't. He said they more hip hop, but the Fugees had that big record. That's all. The Clips, a duo that was snubbed. I agree. I got Lords of the Underground over the Fugees. I'm talking about sound. Who would get more play in my whip, the Fugees or the Lords of the Underground? I still listen to the Lords in the gym. Is Dipset not considered a group? They 100% are considered a group. Super Jones. They get left out way too much. Side note, the Fugees and Lauryn Hill got to stop being mentioned in rap combos. I'm sorry, they don't even have enough workout. I agree with you. I appreciate your super chat. I'm sitting here dissecting the Fugees, and if you follow me on IG, you see I posted, I don't know why they make the Fugees out to be this grizzly bear of a rap group. Pras was nobody's favorite rapper. He wasn't, and he's a fink. Pras is a fucking informant. Pras was exposed as being an informant, yo. Pras was moving around through the music industry as an informant. There's no way that we can include these. We can't. They barred. We can't include them. So you're gonna be an MC on the top 20 hip hop groups of all time, and an informant. We can't do that. The Fugees kicked. Nah, we can't. We can't. He said Pras can't rap. They can't go in. They can't. They can't. They can't. I take the Ghetto Boys over them. I take Lords of the Underground over them. Digital Underground was basically two MCs plus Tupac. You had Money B, Shock G, and Hump was the same person, and Tupac. That was originally, he was a part of Digital Underground. De La Soul is number 9. I didn't mention De La Soul much in this conversation. I said that they were number 9 because there's no holes in their story. There's no holes in their story. De La Soul is right there in that pocket with A Tribe Called Quest. They debut album is highly revered. I believe it probably got 4 or maybe close to 5 mics in the source. But the one that came out in '96 with the stakes is high, that's the one. That's the one that's that shit. If money makes a man's change, we got to reap. So what makes the world go round? If loving is against the law, well, listen, I don't know. That joint from '96, that's that shit. That's that shit. There's no holes in De La Soul's story at all. He said Stakes is High was a dope album. De La Soul is Dead got 5 mics. I knew they had a 5 mic offering somewhere in their catalog. So he said that's when they beats got funky. He said it was mid to the score. I had the score. I listened to Ready or Not over and over and over. Fuji La was a nice joint. How many mics do we rip on a daily? Many money. We see many. That was on there. I'm not dissing the score. I played that in my whip. I did. Capone and Noriega, they will be considered A duo. My man said, "It's so easy." That was that shit. Me, myself, and I. De La Soul is in there. If you want to put them in your top 10 of all time, De La Soul can occupy that space. That's why I didn't really say much about them. Daryl Javon. I remember when J. Rue the Damager dissed the Fugees. Yeah, he did. Before before the Tribe, De La was another group that ran the college circuit, black and white universities. I had nothing negative to say about De La Soul. Me, myself, and I, plug one, plug two, they just, it wasn't for everybody. I believe De La Soul, as well as the Tribe Called Quest, was a part of the Native Tongue Clique, which included the Jungle Brothers, another group that some people could say was snub, but I would put them in the top 50. The Jungle Brothers was totally not mentioned. They were a part of the Native Tongue Clique, Big Latifah, Chi Ali, Black Sheep, another group that probably got snubbed. X-Clan wasn't mentioned, even though they only had, Brother J did most of the rapping, but some of them chicks, they had chicks that would rap. I believe Isis was her name, and they had another chick. I think her name was Harmony or some shit. And then you had a Sissy. You had Professor X, vainglorious. You can't. You can't leave them niggas out. They went on a run. I'm not bullshit. X-Clan had their time from like 88 to like 91. All these years you've been calling me an animal, but in Milwaukee there's a cannibal. Heed the words of the brother. They had hits. X-Clan, you got to put them in here somewhere in this top 20. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He said X-Clan had some beats. The producers was crazy. Public Enemy, I didn't say anything because nobody ever questioned them being a group. Chuck D did most of the rapping, but Flav was an MC too. Flav had solo joint. He did 911 was a joke, totally by himself. So Flav definitely qualifies as an MC. He would go borderline of part-time MC, hype man. You can't, Public Enemy is flawless. When it comes to groups, they get on stage, them niggas like 15 deep. You got Griff, you got Terminator X. That's a group. You got Chuck, Flav, Terminator X, fucking Professor Griffin. You got the S1Ws. That's a group. Them niggas get on stage, they like 15 deep. Can't move them. Immovable object. So I appreciate y'all for coming through. He said Public Enemy for sure. Yeah, Public Enemy, man. Ain't no holes in it. Ain't no holes in it at all. So again, some of these groups qualify as duos. I would qualify Outkast as a duo because I don't know of a DJ by name that ran with them. I would qualify Run DMC as a group because I know their DJ's name, which would make them a trio. Outkast, I don't know about them having a DJ, but when it comes to hip hop groups of all time, people often mention Outkast. So I'm not gonna fuck with that. I fuck with Outkast. I fuck with everything that they've ever done. So all in all, he said the Lost Boys honorable mention. You got Slum Village, you got the Far Side, you got the Loonies. They would require a top 50. We clearly mentioned at least 50. We could make a list of 50. Each person in here probably could sit down with a pen and pad and create a list of 50. That's my list. My honorable mentions are at the bottom, and my snubs are at the bottom. And that's my discussion for the night, man. We had 59 minutes on the button, about to be an hour. I appreciate y'all for coming through. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get the notifications. And you know where to find me at on IG at I am Gully TV _ Twitter, Gully TV1. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this. We got to have these discussions. We do. We do have to have these discussions. Uh, Third base over the Beastie Boys. I'm just keeping it real. Third base gave us more than the Beastie Boys. They did. Anyway, that's my live stream for the night. Super chatters, y'all did y'all thing. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all keep it locked here, man. If y'all come online looking for hip hop, this is the place, the real Gully TV. All right, y'all have a great night. I did it. Peace.